Hey guys, on today's show we have the founder and CEO of The Pattern. It's an astrology app that I think you guys are going to love if you don't know about it already. I've been on it for years and love it so much. We also talk about rising from the ashes, how life is happening for you, not to you. So when things are blowing up, it's actually happening for you. And perfectionism, how to escape it, and so much more. So don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on those notifications and tune in. You guys are gonna love this one. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Better Together, where I synchronize my eyes to the beats of the song.
Very impressive.
Could you see that?
I could.
It was cute, right?
Yeah.
It felt cute to me.
It felt cute.
Anything to try to get my eyes to stay open, guys. Oh, man. Our quote of the day. The most romantic thing in the world is feeling understood and, it's not an and because it's the same part of a quote. It's a separate quote. Kelsey's getting really addicted to giving two quotes now, maybe three quotes.
You want to know why, to be honest? Because Kevin always made me give him options so he could choose from them. So I like giving options now so you can choose from them.
Oh, very nice. I like it. I'm not complaining.
Okay.
So the other one is everybody wants to feel seen and understood. That is from Lisa Donovan, who we're going to be chatting with today. Welcome back, Heal Squad. Hope you guys are having a great day so far, wherever you are. Lisa Donovan is, she is the mother of patterns. Is that how we refer? Okay,
mother
just making sure. Mother of patterns.
App.
She created the Pattern app, and she's going to give us an Astrology 101 breakdown in part one of our interview with her. And we're also going to chat with her about her own personal relationship with astrology and her career pivot from YouTube content creator to entrepreneurial badass, and how the heck the Pattern knows us better than we know ourselves. So if you haven't heard about the Pattern app, I think it was Ashley Daniels who put me onto it years ago when she was producing the show. She's like, oh my God, you've got to try it. And it's so cool. You get these little notifications and you do feel seen and heard every time because you're like, oh yeah, this connects. This makes so much sense. I often will screenshot what they're saying about me and be like, I'm going to put this on Instagram. And then I'm like, wait, why do I have to? It doesn't matter what they think or what they don't think. It's like, whatever, it's for me. Have you ever felt like that?
No. But I'm also not like a big...
Instagrammer?
Yeah. Like I'm like,
I love
all right,
that about you.
Yeah. I don't know why. Like it honestly gives me more anxiety than, so I'm like, nah. So oh my gosh, I love the Pattern. I'll screenshot it and send it to like Ashley or my mom or something. That's like more what I think.
Yeah. Well, because once you feel seen, you're like, oh, I want to share.
Right. It's like, this is crazy.
Like, why do I need to share it on Instagram? I don't. But I'm sure Lisa would like us to.
I'm sure she would.
But it's pretty cool. It tells you, so if you plug in the place you were born, the time you were born, it will give you constant connection to where, you were at astrologically each day. It's so cool. So we're going to chat with Lisa in just a little bit. In the meantime, I am scarfing down my coffee, trying to keep awake. I feel like I just have been going nonstop.
I know. We haven't really stopped.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
So, and it's funny. So I had that reading with my mom and Marianne DeMarco, who's been on the show, who we will have back on. I think we do a whole kind of intuitive week.
Ooh.
Put that down on the notes, Pooja. We need to do an intuitive week. And I think we talk to different intuitives, like the ones that are there's medical intuitives, like the medical medium. There's people who connect with people on the other side, like John Edward or Marianne. There's pet intuitives. Maybe do a whole intuitive week. But it was funny. My mom was like, she's not taking care of herself. And I was like, oh, busted. So I called this morning and I scheduled my physical because I realized, oh shit, it's almost October. And if you don't do this, this is a great strategy. I schedule everything at the same time of year, every year, so that it's kind of like an annual ritual that I will remember. I always do the gyno in June. I don't know why it's June. You should try to do it all in 1 month, make everything, but that's just how it worked out for me. And then my physical's always in October. So I just scheduled my physical And then I realized I hadn't checked my thyroid nodule in a long time because 2 years ago or 3 years ago when I got an ultrasound, they said it had significantly shrunk. And I was like, damn, okay, I'll take that news. And that was when I realized I had cut out chicken. And so not having all that chicken probably and all those hormones made a massive difference. So, so I'm going to get that checked as well. So if you haven't scheduled your annual physical, please do. And by the way, I don't know if I talked about this on the Patreon or if we talked about this at all last week, but I went to pick up my car Friday at the mechanic. And another thing that you need to make sure you do, ladies, is have an annual tune-up for your car too. So maybe October is annual car tune-up and annual physical for your body. So both things are the same, right? Your car needs its physical. I hadn't done them in so long because I've been gone for a year in Connecticut. And my tires were about to blow. My rear tires were about to pop. And they were cracked. He showed me they were bald. Like sometimes you can't even tell because it's on the inside part that you can't reach. So you just gotta go get it checked. My tires were about to pop. Car needed new oil and it needed like its little tune up. So I think I went so far the other way with health that I forgot about my car and that would have been really dangerous. So just a little friendly reminder for everybody out there that your car does need tending to. I know I always say we over tend to our car and under tend to our bodies. So if we could just balance it out and just do both, I think we'll be good. And Miss Kelsey's just nodding in there.
I am nodding. Well, I'm really just thinking, I gotta. Like, this is how we think though. Like, I have to find time to bring my car in. He couldn't do it the
on
other
Friday?
day. He couldn't do it. And so he was like, yeah, just bring it in this week, drop it off. And I'm like, oh. And I think that's what we all think. Because it's like, we have one car. We need to get, like, I got to get to work. So that's really what my wheels were in my head thinking.
Why don't you just have one morning where Pooja drives you over there. Mm-hmm. You guys come in after.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple. You actually have somebody you carpool with, which is great.
Yeah. See, I'm lucky versus a lot of other people don't have that.
Yeah. Or we decide one day, maybe it's Thursday when we're going to do our Pinterest class. We decide we're going to do it all at AfterBuzz.
Work from the buzz.
Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
You just got to put a little focus into getting it done. Mm-hmm. And we have lots of options.
Yeah. And I think that's where probably a lot of people are with the car stuff. So it takes 2 seconds to be like, okay, wait, how can I actually do this? It's not that hard. I think we quickly spiral into, I don't have time. I can't do this. I can't, blah, blah. And it's the same with the doctor.
Yeah.
Like I always would freak out with the doctor because I'm like, how does anyone go to the doctor if they have work? But it's like, you can figure it out.
Well, imagine when you have asshole bosses on top of it that make you feel guilty or bad.
I've had them.
Yeah.
It was
Luckily, you don't have them anymore.
Currently. Exactly.
Because I had them for 20 years and look at where it ended me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, not fun.
So again, it's focusing on what you have and how you can kind of navigate from there. So you got to leave at 4 to go do whatever it is. I don't say anything. You got a doctor appointment Tuesday at noon. I don't say anything. Other bosses are nasty. So focus on the positive because you are able to do all of it. Yes, we have a lot of work to do, but that's just life. Everyone has a lot of work to do. So, I think it's like you need a good sounding board in life sometimes to like help calm you down. Like last night, Kevin looked at our rebrand stuff and he hated everything. Like the videos. He was like, it's good, but it's not good enough and this and that. And I'm like throwing up in my mouth as he's telling me, I thought like our sit down video was pretty good, needed some like edits or whatever. He hated the YouTube one. And I was like, we have to reshoot everything. And so luckily he kept me calm through it. I definitely like popped like a nerve somewhere in my neck as he's telling me all of this. But
why did he hate it?
He just thought like he had a different vision and the way it was shot. I never looked at the second camera because we had just had such a stressful day as it was, just trying to get photos to be lit properly. that by the time the end of the night came and we did that video, I never looked at the second camera. The second camera is meant to be a very tight, totally profile shot. And it looked too similar to the first one. And so he was like, it's just not right. And so now we have to do some finagling to make it right or just redo it. And he's like, well, you and Kelsey can just do it on an iPhone. He's like, why do you have to put so much emphasis on something? I'm like, I didn't. I'm like, but I thought, just shooting it on our good cameras was good. And we, he's like, just shoot it on the iPhone. I'm like, still, honey, do you know how hard it is to like try to get all the elements right? You shoot outside, the birds, the planes, the dogs. You shoot inside, you need the right light. I'm like, I was pulling my hair out of my head thinking about like having to redo all of this stuff, but whatever. And then at the same time, as I'm like digesting everything, and even just what you said the other day when you're like, you haven't even taken a day, it really is starting to hit me that I felt guilty because I was gone from the show for so long, but that wasn't time off. That was pure hell that I was dealing with every day and taking care of my mom. It was not a break. So then when my mom passed, we went into like getting everything together, and I really didn't get a break. Like we were supposed to go to Greece. That was supposed to be a break. It wasn't. Dove right into this like kind of rebrand. And I'm like, I haven't gotten any break, like nothing. And I'm pretty cooked right now. I'm pretty cooked.
So here's my question. What are you gonna do? Yeah.
No. Well, I was thinking December.
That's
but that's so far away.
It's a long way away.
I know. Yeah. It's a long way away. And so, and then Kevin was like, he was saying that he could help fill in some blanks too. I don't know. I got to figure it out.
We're also doing so many shows. We're doing it so you can go.
Yeah.
Like we've been doing, I counted, we did 9 last week. I was like, you know? So I just think, I mean, personally, it's like, you tell all of us, right, to take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
So take care of yourself. No one like, I guarantee, and I know when you were going through it before, like every single one of the Heal Squad just wants you to be better. Our vault is so chock full of so many incredible things. You throw a rerun on once a week. We do 3 shows instead of 4. I mean, it's just like you got to take care of yourself or else it's not going to be good.
Yeah, because I also feel like everything's just hitting me right now. Like I was at dinner Thursday night in Laguna and I cried most of the dinner. I was like, I haven't even processed the last 5 years because I had to just keep staying strong for my mom, and I'm really tired and I'm really sad. So whatever.
I know, but it's not whatever. It's not whatever. Like like Maria, I think that because I do it too, and I know like I look at you and Kevin, I'm like, you guys just work through everything, and it's like it's not good for you. Like I look at you, I'm like, oh, it like breaks my heart. Like I'm tired. I literally could not even imagine how you feel. And it's like you tell all of us to take care of ourselves. So I'm like, who's telling you to take care of you,
Yeah. I think because my normal speed is so fast that like even after tumor, I'm looking back and I thought that I was slow down. I wasn't. I was just slowed down for who I was. I worked I worked like a person, like a team of 20. Like really, like the only other person I know that works like me is Dimitri or Kevin, right? That like literally doesn't stop and does in a day what 20 people would do. So I was like, okay, maybe I was down to like 5 people. That's still 5 more than the regular human.
Yeah, that's still not.
And so I look back, and I just looked back this weekend and I'm like, oh, so like I went from being a Ferrari to a Mercedes in terms of speed. Oh, but like most people are at like, I don't know, like a Prius. Can I go to a Prius?
My Prius lovers. You can though. You can.
No, I know, but I'm saying I didn't even realize because to me that was slowing down.
Right.
Right. It was like Larry King did an interview with me and he was like, wait, I thought you said you slow down. I'm like, oh yeah, this is slow for me. So yeah, I have to figure out a little break. And I think for Kevin, like that's why I was excited for Greece because we needed our time together too as a couple because we've just been at war for so long. So I do got to figure it out, and I will lead by example and figure it out.
Thank you.
But
We just don't want you to take care of you, you know?
yeah, I shall. It is in my thoughts, and I did get my appointment scheduled, so that was step one.
Good.
But I will figure this out for sure. You know what I did this morning that was really cool is, so I let the dogs potty, and then I went back into bed. I locked them in the kitchen, and my mind was racing so heavy, like couldn't get it off. It was like pinball, but with thoughts, really intense. And I was like, okay, what am I going to do? I can't live in my own head right now. So I did yoga nidra. And oh my God, my body was like pulsing and vibrating, and it felt so good. And I think like it was nice because I did it in bed, and I know that Yogini was saying that, you know, when you do it, you're supposed to be on the floor. But that's the part of it that makes it arduous for me, and I don't do it. So I think that if I can do it in bed, I'll do it way more often.
Totally.
And then if eventually it becomes a habit and I can shift over to the bed, that would be like to the floor, it'll be my next step. But I highly recommend it in the morning, especially when she said that 90% of your consciousness wakes up there. It was really, really cool. It felt really good.
I want to try.
Yeah.
I'm in.
So
I love
anyway.
that. I love that though.
All right, let's get to Lisa. So Lisa is an entrepreneur, model, former YouTube content creator, and founder and CEO of The Pattern. Prior to discovering and creating The Pattern, she began her career as one of YouTube's earliest content creators and was one of the co-founders of Maker Studios, a YouTube video network which was purchased in 2015 by the Walt Disney Company, excuse me. Today, she helps millions to get to know themselves better and connect on a deeper level with her app. Heal Squad, let's welcome Lisa Donovan. I'm excited to get to know how this all kind of came to be, because you were a YouTube content creator, killing it in that space. I didn't realize you were one of the founders of Maker.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I have 9 lives here.
It's amazing.
Different lives. Yeah. I started as a YouTube content creator, like when YouTube started, 2005, 2006. I was just, wow, this site is incredible. This is like the future. This is incredible. And
how were you exposed to it? I'm always curious, like, how old were you and how were you exposed to it?
I was 25, I guess, when it came out. So it was sort of an odd choice for a 25-year-old to be like, I'm going to make a YouTube. I had a little production company. I was an editor, and I guess kind of dabbled in acting, but wasn't really taking it so serious. My brother was an actor. And started creating content for other people, and then created my own channel. It's called Lisa Nova. We had a Chevy Nova growing up. It was as simple as that. And it sort of just took off. It was a sort of pop culture parody channel. And I think YouTube was just thrilled somebody was doing something that wasn't in their bedroom. And they were like, yeah. And so they were putting my videos on the home page, and it sort of just took off. And all of a sudden you have all these people that want content from you every day. But, there's no money, so you were working full-time work, but you were like feeding the beast here. And it was just thinking that what YouTube became was going to happen a bit earlier.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a grind. I was one of the first people Google partnered with to share in monetization, but it still didn't matter how many millions of views I got. It still was, sort of tough you couldn't live on it necessarily back then. And now it's sort of the inspiration for co-founding Maker Studios with other YouTube content creators, and to come together to pool resources, to share audience, better monetization, and with more views, cumulative views. So, I was the one with the credit, so I went into so much debt and got a bunch of leases in my name over Los Angeles, and moved people out here and started creating content in the studio.
Wait, you were moving people here on your dime and saying, come make content for Maker and I'll fund it?
Yeah, I mean...
Ish?
Yeah, and this was, it wasn't just me, my brother and my boyfriend at the time and some other people. And we, we're editors and, videographers, and we're doing things like that. So it was like, hey, come on out, be part of this sort of collective. It was very United Artists of and it was a very particular time.
Like, yeah.
It was such early days, and we were down in Venice, and this was before there was sort of that, Silicon Beach thing. It was just you could sort of live cheap, and moved a bunch of people out and started creating content together, and that just kept growing into more of a network model. And we didn't know about business at the time, and everything I was doing was sort of, every piece of content I was creating was just putting money back in the business. So it became, I made almost like 500 videos at the time, just anything to keep it going. And then, wound up being all in the business end and learning all about that.
So you learned about the business end of it as you went.
As we went.
So you were focused on the content and figuring out the rest later.
Yeah.
Or as you went.
Yeah, just going into it. And, we were unfunded for the first 18 months because there was monetization. You could put money back into it, but wanted to grow and expand, and then learned about what venture capital is. I was like, oh, what's that about? This is all, these lessons you learn are really intense because the stakes are very high, and you're learning them as you go. And it was really thrilling, and winds up becoming a whole other kind of creative endeavor, and I was able to stop being a content creator and more on the business end, which I was ready for. I was so burnt out of making videos just to sustain. Yeah, I did that, and then that was 5 years. I'm starting it to selling it to Disney, and right place, right time, put in the 10,000 hours and a lot of luck and hard work, and yeah, it was pretty magical.
And then from there, what took you to astrology?
Well, so yeah, I didn't grow up like as a spiritual astrology person. Actually, we didn't even have religion in my house. It really wasn't part of my makeup at all. But sort of leading up to the sale of Maker and the year before, my life took some pretty dramatic turns on a personal level, and I got sort of leveled in a certain way. Your ego, personality kind of death, the things I think I thought I understood about myself and the choices I'd made and the future I'd have, all that sort of was shaken up pretty quickly. My father was sick. And I was kind of like starting from scratch on a personal level, and seeking and searching and realizing I didn't quite have all the answers. And some, a friend of mine was talking about astrology, and I said, maybe I'll do one of those readings. And I did. And it was kind of mind-blowing because I think I thought it was maybe a cheesy or new agey kind of thing, or maybe disempowering, because it was going to predict what was going to happen to you.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. I get
some of that too. It's funny. I just had a session with a psychic, and I'm like, I feel like I'm cheating a little bit, which is an interesting feeling, but carry on. I want to hear the rest.
But I think that's a really, important thing, because the whole idea, especially with the pattern, is to empower you. So we're never trying to say, you always have free will. And I think it's important because it can get very OCD. I shouldn't do this. My psychic said this, the astrologer said this. And I think that's not a, good situation to be in. So I was probably a little hesitant before that. But again, because I was changing and I was open to this experience, and it wasn't at all what I thought. It wound up being more like a psychological breakdown of who I was, more like a Myers-Briggs, but even way more detailed. And really honing in on my insecurities, my fears, my aptitudes, the things I was going through. And it was just this thing of feeling very seen, very mirrored. And it became a very important tool for me at a really challenging time. And then I became completely obsessed, as I can be. My mind can be very obsessive, and wanted to learn everything and all about it, and sending every friend I knew to the astrologer. And then after we sold it and time had gone by, I thought, this would be incredible to just figure out a way to mimic my experience, put it into an app. So this wisdom is sort of scalable, and anybody can have access to it. And so I set out to do that. And that was 7 years ago. I thought it would be much easier than it was. There was nobody to really hire to do it, and I was just going to have to figure it out. And was chasing this astrologer around, trying to get him to sit with me and extract this information, because it's really an oral tradition, and you have to create algorithms and a system. And so,
yeah, that sounds insanely challenging.
Right. And good thing I didn't know it was going to be. I do that often. I like just jump in and then I'm like, oh man. And then there's like kind of no way out and you just have to figure it out. And that's what I did. And of course, so many moments of like, why am I doing this? And, wanting to maybe give up, but just then getting re-inspired or reinvigorated and you just keep going. And I, started working on it, but it was also a personal catharsis because I was going through some stuff and I was trying to make sense of my life and these feelings that were so overwhelming. And in a way, this was sort of a logical way to make sense of things. And so I started writing all the content, and after selling the company, I wound up moving home because my father, he was ill and I was with him for the year before he passed and stayed with my mom. So I was in my childhood home in my childhood bedroom writing this content and quite isolated. It was sort of just I'd sit there and write all day and hang with mom and have dinner and just do it again in the morning. And I was working through my own thing, but also it was this creative expression of what I was going through. And then we were in this little beta, sent it out 25, 50 people. And, they were sharing it. You see that some people are sharing it. I don't know, there's maybe a few hundred people on it. And then I woke up one day and there was like 30,000 people on the server. And I still to this day don't know who shared, how that happened. But it was sort of this overnight thing and a word of mouth. One friend using it and making their friend get on it. And it just continued like that. It's always been word of mouth. And a couple of years ago, Channing Tatum made a video about it and continued the word of mouth. And this is the first time ever. We just started a couple months ago doing some PR, awareness, marketing, talking to you.
Yeah.
But it was pretty cool because it was this sort of anonymous thing. And I was pretty excited about that. And it's just, we're growing the business now. So.
Yeah. Where does it go from here?
It's so funny because it's almost like it's just getting started. It's 7 years in, but it's like I think what's exciting is just seeing how passionate the users are and how much it impacts them, and that it's in service and there's something there, and that's really exciting. And I think we just want to improve that and allow it to sort of scale, let people know about it because we're in the millions of users, and just get it out to more people, add more content and more support, just keep improving what the pattern is. And we also have this new feature within the app that is allowing for dating and connecting.
Ooh, okay. Now we know that where the extensions are going to be. Because I'm like, are we going to have other psychics do live readings through it? There's got to be where is this going to the branches going to go? I love the dating. I think that's so smart.
Yeah, we've been in beta for a couple of months and just getting all the feedback and tweaking it. It's pretty great, and the feedback's pretty amazing. Just the other day, I got this great write-in from this couple that met that were soulmates on the pattern, and now they feel they're soulmates and they're together.
This is gonna be fucking huge because think about it. Everyone's meeting on the hinges and the thises and the that's and I've done all the swiping for my friends. I'll pick intuitively through people no. All right. I like this one.
Right.
But it's a different vibe in those places.
Yeah.
And I also I would throw up if I had to do it. Just the pictures that they post and it's so narcissistic. It's so weird. I don't know how to explain it and put it into the proper words, but when you're looking at it from an astrological place, there's meaning behind it. There's a true kind of science behind it. So that would make me feel so much better that I'm actually meeting somebody I'm supposed to be connected with, not trying to force a circle into a square.
Exactly. And, these algorithms we've been working on for many years. And we're not trying to say one relationship is good and one is bad. We do have soulmates, extraordinary and challenging. We sort of are labeling them, but it's with context. There's all this content with it. So just because it might be challenging doesn't mean it's not for you, but now you have understanding about why it's challenging, or you have understanding about why you could be soulmates. So before you can connect or like somebody, you have all this content about your relationship. You have to run the bond. You have to see what the relationship is about. So you're starting from a much deeper, more authentic place.
Yeah. Well, it's like working with the universe rather than working against it.
That's right. That's right. And anything's possible if you can just be honest and communicate, and I think that's what you can do in the app right now. You can read about your friendships. You can read about your current romantic relationships. And that's some of the most exciting feedback when couples are like, every week we sit and do our pattern and we talk about our relationship. And it's just this sort of third party that's putting it out there for you to say, yeah, actually, sometimes I do feel a little judged by you. Can we talk about that? Because, these are just dynamics that sometimes exist between people. And it doesn't have to be the end of a relationship or such a challenging thing if you can communicate about it.
So cool.
That's the tool.
I feel like I went down like the entrepreneur angle on this interview just because it was so much more fascinating for me. But I do want to break down astrology for the beginner. So for those who don't know, if you can give us kind of like the 101.
Well, one, there's lots of different kinds of astrology. And I think we have our own methodology. It's unique, and it only exists on the pattern. One thing that is unique about the pattern, when you go on it, there actually is no mention of astrology. You don't see any symbols, and we don't label anything in like, Venus or Mars or Sagittarius. It's really just the content, because I wanted no barrier to entry. I wanted anybody, people who might dismiss astrology might not use it because of that. So I wanted it to be a place where they just come on and get the information.
So smart. I never thought about that. I don't think I ever realized it as a user of it.
That it's not there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there was a lot of, and that was my experience when I was creating it, because I was doing anybody's chart, and the Uber driver, anybody I spoke to, and you'd see the confusion of like, wait, what does that mean? As opposed to if I could just communicate with them about, okay, I know, you've probably always grown up feeling like you're not enough. Like, yeah, I don't, you didn't need to label that as Saturn to your Mars. But, so that's one thing. And I guess one of sort of the most unique things about our methodology is it's not really sun sign based. So archetypally, we don't think the sun is as important to the other parts of your chart, like the moon, the Venus, the Mars, the ascendant. Sun signs were originally just to sell newspapers 100 years ago. They knew everybody would know the month they're born. So like, that's you. But it's also why I think people dismiss it, because somebody whose only planet is in the sun of that sign and none of the others are there likely will not relate to
exactly.
that. Right. And they're like, nah. And also, how can every single person born in that month be having the same day?
Yeah. Well, because I was always like, I'm a Gemini, but some of this doesn't connect to me.
Well, you're a Cancer moon, you're a Cancer Venus, you're a Pisces rising. So Gemini wouldn't really apply. You're a great example of that.
Yeah.
So we focus much more on the moon and the Venus, the Mars, the ascendant. Moon changes every sign every 2.5 days, ascendant every 2 hours. So we're like dialing in to who you are. We think of it kind of like as above, so below, where the planets were in the sky at the time of your birth. You are the creative expression of the universe in that single moment in time. And this is sort of a blueprint for the conscious, aware path. But I don't like the predictive thing, like I said, that I think a lot of astrology can go down some. I think of it as like you're fated to deal with those energies, but how you choose to deal with them is your destiny. It's your choice. It's your free will. Someone with the exact same chart can have a very different life because they've chosen differently. So I think these are some of the tenets of what the pattern is about. And I can't, I can't speak to other types of astrology in a way because there's so many ways to look at things. I think this methodology is pretty, it's pretty great because it's not too complicated and it seems to be resonating with people. And
yeah, well, I think there was something in the intro that I was talking about. Actually, it was our quote from you. Everybody wants to feel seen and understood. And when I think of my moments with the pattern, when I'll get my little notification and I open it up, I'm like, oh my God, yes. And then I told her, I would like snap a picture of it and be like, I gotta post this. And then later I'm like, no, I don't have to post this. Like, why do I need to share it with people? Or like, I'll send it to my husband and be like, look, they know me.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think that is what makes it so special. Cause it is I think you've simplified it to a place where we get what we need. Really cool.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, that was really the hope or the intention, to help you to be a safe space, to feel seen and understood, to go deeper with yourself, to connect with others in a deeper, more authentic way. Because I think a lot of it is surrendering kind of into yourself. I think we spend a lot of time comparing ourselves because of, culture or family or whatever it is, and we disconnect from what's true in our true path, and we go over here. And if this can in any way feel like a mirror that speaks to something deeper and authentic, that kind of lets you just surrender into that and give up trying to be something you're not. I mean, it was certainly that for me. Spent a lot of time working so hard, and fixing this, improving that, and doing, and then it was like, oh, okay, I can just stop.
I could just be.
I can just be, and then you understand also other people and what they're going through. I think we spent a lot of time thinking we're being judged by people, or they looked at me funny, or they, are thinking this about me, when in fact we don't know. And if we could read their pattern, you'd see, well, no, they might be a little shy. They might feel insecure, or you have a pattern that's going to make you feel judged around them, but it's not anything real, nothing to worry about. So it's just that, more understanding for all of us.
Yeah. I never thought about using it to look into somebody else, but I will say, I think a lot of us spend our time wishing somebody would see us.
Yeah.
And so if you're listening to this and you feel like that, this app will definitely, by the way, I'm not getting paid to say this, this app will definitely do that for you. Like I had some moments in the last couple of days where I've been cultivating some new friendships, and I was so blown away that, like, so quickly, because these are higher vibration, elevated kind of voices, where they just saw me. And then I'm like, wait, I haven't even considered that about myself. We spend a lot of time trying to find ourselves too, right? Or try to make sense of patterns in our lives that we're like, oh, well, yeah, I guess this keeps happening. Or, oh, wow, I never thought about that. Now it clicks.
That's right.
Things start to click, and you start to understand yourself and how you tick more. But rather than waiting to find those people, which, by the way, it's taken me 43 years to get there.
Yeah.
The app is a really great way. The pattern is a great way to kind of get there. And if you can hold tight to that and then find your people, they'll probably confirm everything you're feeling.
No, that's amazing. I really agree with that. I think that's what everybody's really hungry for. That whole idea of wanting to feel seen and understood. I think people are just hoping for that. And it's such an incredible feeling when you do feel seen. I think it's very rare. And I feel so grateful for the few friends I have that is what it is. And I agree with you. It's not easy to find them, and you can spend a lifetime. And especially, that's what's empowering, hopefully, about the pattern and understanding your chart. Often we're magnetic for our own experience. So if we are hard on ourselves, if we don't think we're enough, if we think we should be sort of, punished or we're unworthy, we will be magnetic for bringing those people into our lives. So it's about us being conscious. So once you get to a conscious place of, I don't want to feel that way, and you change and you say, no, you move some people out, space for other people to come in, and you're magnetic for that.
Whoa, did you hear my jaw crack?
I did.
Oh my God. It's so true. That happened to me recently, where I was like, enough. And then
that's like, oh yeah. The second you do that, you always level up when you're like, that's it.
Yeah.
It's always happening for you, not to you. And we feel very victimized by life. And again, that's the point of the pattern, is so that you can feel empowered instead of victimized by it. Like, oh, this is me. I'm so angry at this person because they're treating me badly. Well, it's because that's what you think you deserve. So that's what you associate with. You have a choice. You always have a choice.
Yeah.
But that's, I'm not that I'm always able to do it, but the older you get, that sort of becomes clearer and clearer, because the answer's never out there. It's really in you. And these are the hopes, with the pattern, and I think what it does. And that's what I mean by moving the astrology out of the way, because I think we can get caught in like the like, today's going to be a good day and you are this and that. It's so much deeper and richer than that. And such a great tool.
So cool. I want to know how this helped you through your tough moment or moments specifically, if you can. And also if you can speak to kind of that caretaking part of your life. We talk about that all the time here because I just went through it with my mom. I'd be curious to know.
Yeah. I think I spent a lot of my younger years, maybe before this massive change in my life, feeling quite inadequate. Not that I wasn't confident in certain things or presented a certain way, and sure, but I think there was a deep sense of inadequacy and a sense of needing to sort of prove your worth all the time. And it resulted in being sort of codependent and overgiving and not understanding about boundaries and not caring for myself. And I think when these things happen, you sort of self-betray. You start doing things that don't feel right for you and you really get off course. And I think I was very off course and life fell apart in this beautiful way. I also feel like that was the most amazing time of my life too. Because sometimes you're so busy trying to be perfect all the time and hold it all together that when everything fails, it's the greatest liberation. You're so afraid of that failure. But then when it falls apart and you're like, oh, I can just stop trying so damn hard. Then you can be a little more authentic. You can be a little more real. You can own that, like, I just don't know. And I don't think I can solve this. And I don't think I can fix this. And then you realize that's okay. And you're alive and people accept you, even though you're not playing that role. And the ones that don't should move out of your life, and create space for something new. So it was around that time, it was like a personal reckoning. It's really not about anyone else. I could have perceived it that way, but instead it was like, wow, you've chosen all this stuff. You felt so victimized by all, oh my God, and you could choose differently. And there was such liberation and it just falling apart and being like, I don't know anything. And the humbling of that was wonderful and terrifying and challenging. And it's really been this sort of 7, almost 8 year journey. I define my life before and after that of just being more real and being more authentic. And it can be really challenging at times, there's no question. And a lot of time alone. I was always in a relationship, always not a day without being in one to the next, to the next, to the next. And now it's a different thing to really commit my energy and time. It's got to be the right thing. It's got to work for me. And so got very comfortable being on my own and love that. Love my company now. And there's no fear around that for me anymore. But that, that took sort of years of that kind of thing. And this was all when I was creating the pattern and trying to make sense of all this stuff and then understanding the past relationships I had and through this lens and having compassion for all the different players in my life that I could have perceived as, trying to do me wrong, when instead, no, wow, what a gift. Even the ones that maybe you should be the most angry at, wow, what a gift, because you came into my life to liberate me in a way. We had to go through this extreme thing so that I could wake up, because I could have been 75 waking up. Instead, you helped me get on my way much sooner. Thank you. Thanks, and then you can let things go and just be sort of in flow. So it's been really exciting, but challenging, but interesting, and but it's my life now. I think I used to be living it for many other people, and at least it's mine now.
So amazing! You're hitting on so many things that we talk about all the time here. I want to hit on the perfectionism, but I really want to not forget. How did you realize this was happening for you, not to you? Like, how did you realize that whatever kind of the toxic stuff or whatever it was, that you were able to choose out of it, right? Because it's so easy to blame everyone else. And I've been there too, right? I had my brain tumor. I'm like, okay, who do I blame? Right. And then later I realized, okay, yeah, those people were really shitty. However, this was my pattern to allow people to treat me like that. This was my pattern to be victimized, and I have a choice here. but it takes a lot of like self-reflection and a lot of this kind of self-help stuff and, you know, to get there.
That's right. I think I was always in the like, I'll fix it. We'll just keep working on it. I could do better. I don't need that. I don't feel that way. You know, there was a lot of that kind of going on and not being very self-reflective and just thinking, well, there's more work to be done. You know, you just got to keep sticking with it and this will change. And yeah, there's some pretty dramatic things, you know, detailed, but things that sort of happened. And it really was just a wake. I mean, that's grace, right? Someone just comes in and wakes you up. Who know, you know, because it's not like things didn't happen in life before that maybe should have, but for whatever reason at that time, that place, you know, it did. And I was like, oh yeah, you don't have to do this. Right. You know, because I think if you grow up thinking you don't matter and you're really just, you're supposed to, your only value is in service to somebody else. Yeah. Like, it's uncomfortable to even consider.
That's just like being a woman.
That's right.
So for everybody else that's listening, like, that's just you being a woman, everybody. All of you listening, this is you. That's right. Until we break this. That's
right. You know, it's the most uncomfortable thing to even think you're supposed to take care of yourself, you know? It's so alien. And being comfortable with people not liking you, with disappointing people. And then you realize, oh, okay, everybody, you know, because in a way, and it's a great way to look at it, it's almost narcissistic to think you are that person for other people. Like, get over it. Like, you're not that important. You know what I mean? It can turn into that, codependent. You know, I said that to my, like, it's crazy how these things you can start to think, you know,
you have that much power in a sense.
Yeah. And maybe you're picking people that are making you think that way, but you're choosing it. And everybody has their own destiny. You are never responsible for anyone else, no matter how much you think you are. You're not. And everybody has free will in their choice. And then doing it for yourself, you get really comfortable in that. And that's really clear. It's uncomfortable in the beginning.
Yeah. How did you do it? How did you even identify it? Was there a therapist that identified it in you? Was it?
Not at this time. I mean, it really was this thing where my life took some pretty dramatic hits, and it was like an awakening, you know, and this is where sort of spirit comes. It's not that I wasn't doing therapy, but that wasn't really what woke me up to it. And there was something about the astrology at that time that was so powerful, because it was literally saying, this is kind of who I was and what I'd be doing. And actually, but you're supposed to be on this path. So there was this incredible mirroring at this, you know, very profound juncture in my life. But of course, I must have invited that in. I took a leap of faith of changing my course, and then I was met. And I think that's very true too. If you can trust, you know, if you can take those leaps of faith, you'll always be met, and things work out in the most unbelievable way when you let go of trying to control it.
Yeah.
You spend all the time in the world controlling it, and it's a nightmare, and you're hitting your head against the wall and nothing changes, and you finally give up and let go, and it all works out like that. And you have nothing to do. You know, all you do is trust, and it all comes together. So this is why the astrology was so powerful, because I was having sort of this personal awakening, and then I was met with this that basically mirrored everything I felt and understood, and helped me to sort of move to that next step and see things in that way. And I guess there is a part of me that's always been quite forgiving and letting it go. And I do believe everybody's doing their best with what they have. So in that piece of it, like was okay. It's mostly the forgiving myself, like that I'm supposed to play a role was probably the hardest part. And the astrology really helped me to let go of that a bit. And, you know, and then, I mean, years of being alone and writing this content in a room. I mean, I don't want to, you know, romanticize this too much. It was definitely also a pretty intense, you know, solitary work. But this is what came out of it, you know, and now, you know, obviously I'm on the other side, and I just feel so grateful and full of life and happy and myself, and no regrets about anything. It all is always happening for you, and it's all just amazing to even have any of the experiences at all.
Yeah, that mantra got me through so much in these last 5 years. Life's happening for you, not to you.
Oh yeah.
It's my favorite line. But how did you escape perfectionism?
It's still there. It's not, I think the degree of it was intense, like the level of perfectionism I had. And I think now it's much more in its place, I'd say. But I think it's something I have to be conscious of all the time because it can sneak up in different ways. Much more forgiving and loving of myself. And I just, but it's there still, and I'll see it creep up, and I'm like, what this, and it's not, it's something you have to be aware of, and you have to sort of practice. And I even think it's coming up even a lot over the last year for me, of really bringing it to the surface. And can you really accept and own all that you are, and it's still a work in progress, How about you? Do you have a lot of perfectionism stuff?
Yeah. And I think I'm really starting to see how much it runs the ride.
That's right.
And I'm like scared. I'm like, oh, wow. It's like almost like so obvious to me now, where it was never obvious before. That's right. It's probably obvious to people around me, but not to me. Yeah. And like the thought processes are coming out louder, and it's screaming to me. So obviously it's something I want to work on, and I want to keep figuring out. But
it's coming up because you're ready to see it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing you see who's running the show when you're at your sort of most upset and crazy and vulnerable. Like that's what's underneath running the show. Yeah. Like when you get to those really emotional places, you can see who's making a lot of these decisions in you. And can you bring that shadow out? I like that shadow work. I work with this wonderful woman. We're bringing out the shadow, of what you don't want to see. But that one is definitely one for me. It's not really so much about the other people anymore. It's always a reckoning with myself and if I'm bringing someone in who's maybe not so healthy or so, then I know I have to check, like, wow, what are you magnetic with this person? What are they showing you? What's the mirror here? Okay, so they're a little this way. Well, there's got to be something in you that likes that or is that way, or it's always kind of your journey to explore that stuff. So I just have to be really honest with myself and be like, okay, that's still something to work through, and it's still there.
Yeah. Do you trace it back to your early childhood, like where your parents like, you got to be a good girl, you got to, be perfect? Like, do you trace it to that, or do you have a understanding where it came from for you? Yeah,
I mean, from the two things. I mean, one, from the astrology, we have something called the Saturn complex, and I have the most extreme. That was one of the most profound things he said to me. But that is like a feeling of such inadequacy from as early as you can remember. And I was like, yeah.
Oh shit! I wonder if I have that in my chart.
Yeah. You have a lot of Cancer with Pluto. But yeah. So that made a lot of sense to me. Sort of like we think of it as like sort of a psychological disposition, and it can make you work very hard and be ambitious and accomplish
things for it. Well, that's the shadow thing, right? So like,
shadow.
I had like some different traumas growing up, and I had a Reiki healer say, well, do you think you would have activated as quickly as you did and succeeded as quick as you did if you didn't have that? I'm like, that's right. Oh shit, you're right. Thank you, asshole.
That's it. It's happening for, like exactly. Yeah. And that they're all activating, they're all propelling you. Everything's propelling you. And
you were tracing it back.
Yeah. And, I think, no, I mean, my family, they were just wonderful. And my father, who's since passed, I think I had a lot of like idealizing him, wanting to live up to him. But, he loved me so much. It's not that. But it's almost picking up how he treated himself too. And his own defenses and his own judgment of the world it was less so you are bad or you this. It's more his judgment of the world because of his own fears and his own insecurities. I saw that there's a lot of judgments. You're like, oh, okay, like where's there room to be? Everything seems like there's a problem. Shit. Okay. And so I was like, oh, I'll just be what I think he thinks is great, and that'll work out. And then that makes for really healthy romantic relationships when you come of age, of course,
Yep.
I'm like, I can be what you want me to be, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I've done it too. I'm right there with you, Lisa. Got it. Right.
We both have Saturn to our relationship sector, so we would both deal with that. Certainly.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And that means the path is about not projecting your happiness onto the other, connecting it to the other, that you and I wouldn't get out of this life being able to do that. Sometimes that works out for people. It's just we are sort of on a curriculum where we're going to have to learn to love ourselves completely. And anytime we get into that codependence, you just sort of get hit with the blocks in the back. It doesn't work. Just don't get to do that.
Yeah.
So lucky us.
All right, guys. What did we learn?
There was a lot in that one. I really liked I'm glad you asked about the perfectionism, how to escape perfectionism. Ooh, I need to go back. I honestly want to go back and listen to it and take more in-depth notes. But that really struck a chord with me because I was like, yeah.
Yeah, and the choices. We have choices, right? And this isn't happening to us. It's happening for us. Like her life blew up for her. And look at what a deeper meaning she has, right? She went from being a YouTube creator and creating all this stuff that probably if we asked her, she would say was totally meaningless compared to now, where everything has meaning.
Everything.
And so all of it is happening for us. If your life is currently blowing up, just know you can rise from the ashes too. But you got to do some of this work. And that's, the great thing about this show is we have all of the people on here that can help you identify that it's happening for you, but then also help kind of guide you in the right direction. I mean, I think if your life's blowing up on you, might be a nice time to do an astrology reading and really get to the bottom of like, okay, where am I supposed to be going?
Right. I think that's a good point.
Really cool.
I also loved we talk about this all the time, but the often we are magnetic. What we're acting. I wrote, when we're acting like shit, we'll attract shit.
Yeah.
But it's true.
I always say, just imagine you're a magnet. So whatever you're doing, whatever you're thinking, whatever you're saying, you are getting more of, right? So even me, if I'm like, I'm tired, well, I'm just going to get more of that, right? So
absolutely.
You gotta really think about life like that and your life like that. In the meantime, if you haven't, hit subscribe on YouTube. A lot of you come to the show, you pop in, you explore, you enjoy, but you haven't hit subscribe, please do so you'll never miss a show, and turn on those notifications. And we see a lot of you sending in comments on Apple Podcasts. First of all, thank you. They light us up. So many beautiful comments in there. Am I greedy to ask for more, Kelsey?
Never. No way.
I see so many shows. They have like 4,000 comments.
I know.
So Heal Squad, if you could help us out with some more comments, that would be amazing. If you feel so inclined to hit a 5-star on there, we'd love that too. And that is it. I
really want to get to at least 2,000 by like December. Yes, at least we got this. We got this. And if you guys don't know how to do it, because I know it can be confusing, shoot us a DM. We will send you a screenshotted video to show you how to do it. So,
is it that hard?
Some people have asked for it, so
okay. Cool.
I know it can be confusing. So,
all right,
we're here for you.
We're here for you. Also, if this show connected to you in a big way, 'cause she really talked about, like I said, rising from the ashes a lot in here, and if you can share it with somebody that you think will really connect with that message, which is pretty much every female, I think, right?
I would agree with that.
Share it with somebody. In the meantime, be nice people, make good choices, and be present.